It was in this very square, back in 1825, that the great liberator, Simón Bolívar, declared Bolivia's independence in this house, right over here behind me, called Casa de la Libertad, the Freedom House. Bolívar was a Venezuelan man who played a massive role in liberating both Venezuela, Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, and Bolivia. After having finished all his liberation missions, he decided to come back here to Sucre, the city that he loved the most. He decided to make this city the capital of Bolivia, a country that is named after Simón Bolívar. That's how much he loved this country. If you could see what's happening to this beautiful country in the last 4 or 5 years, I think Simón Bolívar would be turning in his grave in disgrace with these internal fightings, wannabe dictators that wants to try and take control of this beautiful country that is Bolivia. Join me as we explore why this is South America's most troubled nation and why it's a nation that holds a special place in my heart. So we made it to the bus station. I'm gonna go with this little minibus right here behind me to the town called Aiquile. That's our first stop on this journey through the troubled nation of Bolivia into the heartland of the support area of the former president Evo Morales. So basically how it goes, this guy is loading up the bus up here, and as soon as we get full or slightly full, because we're going to pick up passengers along the way, we're going to take off here at 7 o'clock this morning. Let's go explore. The driver's telling us to get in. So check it out. This is where we'll be sitting. It's not exactly the tallest seat we have here. ¿Cómo te llama el driver?
Griego.
Griego. Griego.
Griego.
Griego. Sebastián.
Ah, qué gusto.
Sebastián. Gusto conocer.
Un placer.
Un placer, exacto. All right.
Chile ya sale.
So we're in our seats. And here we have all the other seats behind us, ready to take off on the journey towards Aiquile, this wonderful little village, and we'll go and see what we can find there. Alright, we have made it to Aiquile, the little village here, and they're ready to go explore. Check it out, we have a little digger over here that has most likely been used to clear the roads, to clear those blockades that all the supporters of Evo Morales, the former president, has set up across the country to block traffic. Now, let's go ahead and explore this town. I am hungry. I need to find some breakfast. Hello. So yeah, let's go ahead and explore what Aiquile has to offer. ¿Es Mercado Central aquí? ¿Aquí hay comedor? ¿Sí? Ok, gracias. The lad here tells me to go in here to find this is the market here. Check out the lady with the traditional dressing, or the cholitas as they're called. But here, it is much, much warmer than just back in Sucre where we started the video. I didn't expect that to be so hot here, to be honest. It's very, very different. It must have dropped about 1,000 meters or so. Now let's see if we can find this comedor. Hola, ¿hay comedor aquí? ¿Dónde? ¿Por acá?
Segundo piso.
Segundo piso, ahí adentro. Okay. ¿Qué es la altura acá? Sí, allá adentro. Okay. ¿Qué es la altura? Una cámara.
¿Ahora estás grabando?
Estoy haciendo un video.
Ay, ya estoy saliendo ahí.
Sí. ¿Qué es la altura acá? Es más bajo que Sucre, ¿no?
Sí.
Es mucho más calor acá que Sucre.
Ajá.
¿Qué es la altura? ¿1000? ¿1500 metros? ¿Algo así?
Eso no sé cómo será.
No sabes.
Un poco bajos.
Tengo
¿Dónde
que-
estás viniendo vos?
Yo vengo desde Sucre. Soy de Dinamarca.
Dinamarca. ¿Estás unido?
Norte de Europa.
Europa.
Sí.
En Europa, ¿cómo hablan? A ver, habla.
Hvor er der noget godt at spise? Här inne i market? Te pregunto, ¿qué tengo que comer?
Ah, ya, ya.
¿Qué es la mejor plato de acá?
Ah, eso las tichas.
Sí. ¿Qué es el mejor plato?
Ay, sí, cuánto pues.
Sí, sí. ¿Pero algo especial que me recomiendas?
Te vas a preguntar.
Ok, gracias. What are these? Some kind of birds? Crickets or something? They sound like howler monkeys almost. But surely they're not monkeys. This is not monkey territory. We have a little hill park sort of thing in here. Oh yeah, here we go. Check this out. Here's the comedor. This place here seems popular. Let's see what they have. Hola. Hola. ¿Qué hay para comer? Ranga. ¿A cuánto? ¿A cuánto? 10. ¿De qué es ranga?
De vaca.
De vaca. Ok. ¿Es cuál? Allá.
Caldo, de cabeza.
¿Como este?
Sí. Ajá, eso es caldo.
Eso es caldo. Ok. Una ranga. ¿Ranga?
Patas.
Ranga. Perfecto. So, something called ranga.
¿Ranga quiere?
Un plato, por favor.
Ya, pasa nomás ahí.
¿Toma el sentido? Ok. Alright, so we ordered something called ranga. Hola. ¿Ranga es rico?
Rico, sí.
Rico. ¿De qué está hecho? ¿De qué es? ¿Vaca?
Vaca, sí.
¿Cabeza? ¿Pierna? ¿Qué parte de la vaca?
No voy a decir eso.
Panza. Panza de la vaca. Stomach. Cow stomach is what they're saying. Okay.
Eso es panza.
Panza de la vaca. Okay.
Barriga.
Barriga. Panza.
Barriga para barriga.
Ok. Muy bien. ¿Tienes yahua? ¿Yahua?
¿Yagua o yaco? ¿Qué cosa?
¿Yahua?
Yagua, ahí pues.
El picante, ¿eh? Ah, aquí está. Perfecto. Gracias. So we've got potatoes. We've got some cow stomach is apparently what this is. It's going to be interesting to try, and a bunch of rice and some cilantro. All right. Only 10 bolivianos. That's about $1 and $1.30. Something like that. Let's give it a go. Okay. Very chewy. The stomach of the cow there. I'm not quite sure about that. Oh my god, that is strange. That's very strange. Oh my god, check that out. You see that? So that's from the inside of the cow stomach. And very rubbery. It's kind of like a undercooked octopus. Something like that. Not exactly the best food, if I'm gonna be honest. But we'll finish on. We can't complain. This is what they have here. This is why we come to these remote areas, eh? To try some random food. ¿Es Quichua o Aymara que hablan?
Quichua.
Quichua. Ok. Acá se habla más quechua que español. Estaba bloqueado el acceso aquí hace una semana, ¿no? ¿Y por qué lo han terminado?
Es que el pueblo no quiere bloquear, nos perjudican.
¿Cómo?
Si hay bloqueo no hay gente, pues, y bien.
Claro.
Y las verduras,
La producto, todo eso. ¿Y por qué estaban bloqueando?
por la canasta familiar.
Para la canasta familiar. So he's saying they were basically blocking the roads for canasta familiar. It's something similar to basically the basic cost of living, basically inflation. Here in Bolivia, with the recent mismanagement from the government, there has become a massive black market for dollars that has started to develop here, similar to what we see in Venezuela when it started to go wrong up in Venezuela. The government has run out of foreign currency. The government hasn't invested into finding new raw materials, even though Bolivia has tons and tons of natural gas and lithium and so on. They haven't invested into exploring new fields of gas. And that was the main way that Bolivia used to get foreign currency into the country. And nowadays, Bolivia has become a net importer of natural gas and petrol. Ok, 10, ¿no? ¿Dijiste? Ok, perfecto. Gracias.
¿Ya?
Hasta luego. All right, we finished. This was far from the best food I've ever tried. Let's say it like that. I'm still hungry. I started getting the gagging experience, so I think we should try and see what sort of other stuff some of the other ladies are selling here. Hola, ¿qué vendes acá?
Estamos sirviendo calditos, laguitas, sopas,
Solo sopa.
sopa y segundo.
Ah, ok. ¿No tienes algo de pollo? Tal vez.
Picante de pollo.
Picante de pollo. Eso es rico. Picante de pollo. ¿Cuánto sale?
10.
10. Ok. ¿Cuál es? Aquí tienes las diferentes comidas. The different options. All sorts of soups. Beef here. Potatoes over there. Ese otro sopa. Este picante de pollo.
De pollo.
Este es
Este es saice.
saice.
Este es pollo.
Ok.
Este es el agua.
El agua.
El agua.
Ay, ay.
Este camisa. Este es ají de pata.
Ají de pata. Sí, probaré ese picante de pollo. So we'll get something called picante de pollo, spicy chicken, basically. I think that's a little bit more up my alley than this cow's stomach. That was pretty horrendous. Provecho.
Gracias.
¿Qué come usted?
La agüita.
¿La agüita?
La agüita.
¿Es rico?
La maíz.
De maíz.
Rico.
Sopa de maíz.
Sopa de maíz.
Ah, ok. This is andino, ¿no?
Andino.
Andean spices here. So lo pones en tu sopa,
En tu sopa.
en la comida,
En la comida y en las llaves.
en la llajua igual.
Igual.
These-
¿Quieres probar?
¿Se come así nomás?
Ese.
Let's try. It's like a little bit like lemongrass. Un poco como lemon. Un poco así. Let's try some little bit more. ¿Y cómo es la situación ahora acá? En tema de los bloqueos y todo eso.
Parece que sigue en las rutas de Cochabamba a Aiquile.
Sí. Llegando a Cochabamba me han dicho que no se puede llegar.
No se puede llegar.
¿Y qué opinan ustedes de en favor de Evo, contra Evo, contra más, en favor de más? ¿Prefieres otro?
Está mal, pues.
Está mal.
Claro.
¿No te gusta Evo? ¿O más?
Al diálogo tiene que ir, pues.
Sí.
Claro, al diálogo, esa es la solución. No es bloqueo.
No.
No,
Es como secuestrar todo el país casi.
sí, pues.
Pero ustedes están en favor de el partido de más o contra.
Ninguno.
Ninguno.
Neutro.
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 No te gusta política.
No,
I've got a piece of chicken here and this stew with some pasta in there and a potato. Always a potato in the Andean food. You cannot have food here if there's not a potato in there. Then it's basically not a dish. Let's go ahead and give this a go. So get ourselves a piece of chicken here. We'll try some of the stew with it as well. Let's go. Oh yeah. This is much better. The chicken is tender. This little stew, very basic, but super good. But look at this chicken. The chicken is spectacular. Oh yeah. That is such an upgrade from that ranga thing, the cow stomach. All right, I'll finish the food here and then we'll go explore more of what the town has to offer. So we've been given some kind of drink here based on quinoa, I was told. It's kind of like a lemonade, chicha kind of thing. ¿Cómo se hace esto?
Hay que servir agua de canela,
Ajá,
un clavito de olor.
ajá.
Luego la quinoa vas tostando, lavando, moliendo y luego a la agüita.
Oh, ok.
Ya está.
Es como un limonada casi el sabor. Sí, sí. Muy bien. Gracias. Yeah, it's like a lemonade. So you put quinoa in a pot with some cloves and some cinnamon. roast it a little bit, saute it a little bit, and then boil the shit out of it, and then you basically have a lemonade based on quinoa. Lovely. Right, so we finished the second food. That was much better. A very simple chicken stew. But yeah, now let's go ahead, and see what else we can find here in this town. We're gonna head downstairs. Seems to be the fruit and vegetable, the typical market section, where all the ladies come and buy their ingredients for the food that they cook at home. But we're gonna see what we can find outside in the town itself. The grand central square of Aiquile. Aiquile, that's the name. It is a very sleepy town by the looks of it. Not much going on here. Just a bunch of crickets in the trees making a right racket. And then we have a few. Oh yeah, check this out. Here we have the monument of the town, the pride of the town. The charango and a cowboy and a bull. This is what the charango really is. These massive guitars, well, with massive strings. What does it have? 1, 2, 3, 10 strings, if I'm counting correctly there. 10 strings. So this is the guitar that's called the charango. This is what is basically the pride of Aiquile. Then we have a statue of a guy over here playing it. This is Orlando Pozo Tapia. Must be a famous musician from the area here. But yeah, this is an instrument that you will hear in all types of Andean music. Here in Bolivia, you'll hear it in Peru, Ecuador. They'll all play it. This super unique guitar, kind of like a ukulele, but with much more technique to it, with many more sounds to it, because you have all those strings as you see on that model up there. Hola. ¿Tienes cerveza?
Sí, ¿cuál?
¿Cuál tienes?
Hay así, Capital.
Capital. A ver, probamos uno de estos. ¿Cuánto sale?
7.
7. So we're getting ourselves a little beer. A Capital. I have no idea what this beer is. I've never tried this one before. Even though she says it's not foreign. I don't know where it's from. ¿Y qué opinas de la situación ahora del país, de todas las peleas que hay entre Evo y Arce, más? ¿Apoyas a algunos de ellos?
No.
No. Parece que quiere ser dictador de Bolivia,
Sí.
¿no?
Pero hay mucha gente que la apoya más que el del campo.
Más que en el campo.
Sí, el Alto, el de La Paz, Oruro, Potosí, ese está más apoyando arriba.
Así que aquí no hay mucho apoyo para ellos. Porque estaba bloqueado aquí hace una semana igual, ¿no?
Sí, pero vinieron del Alto, de acá.
Gente del Alto vinieron aquí,
De Chapare.
acá,
Sí.
a bloquear.
Sí, así.
Así que
Del
no son
pueblo de
gente,
acá.
no
de
son
aquí
gente
no han
locales.
salido. No. De
Ah,
aquí no han salido. Ningún aiquileño no ha salido.
mandan a su gente a todo el
Ajá.
país para bloquear.
Exacto, donde hay más tránsito, ahí mandan, porque es de doble vía, ¿no?
Claro. So there you have it. Capital Cerveza. Let's give it a go. It's pretty bog standard like most beers here in Bolivia, but it is absolutely what I need whilst I wait for the bus here. I have about an hour of waiting time before the bus goes. And as you heard the lady there, it's not even people, local people that are blocking the streets. They're basically using Evo Morales. He's basically using a guerrilla tactics. It seems like he wants to turn himself into a dictator of Bolivia. He comes from the area called Chapare, on the other side of Cochabamba from the side that I am now, which is why I can't get there. That is the area that produces all of the cocaine here in Bolivia, and Evo Morales is known to be the leader of all that group. He's basically a massive narco trafficker who uses the typical communist strategies of saying he's for the people, but at the end of the day he's actually just using them, abusing them to get what he wants, to get them to cultivate coca so he can sell it in countries around the world. He's basically mandating them to go and do roadblocks. I've heard from many people now, from some of my old friends here in Bolivia as well, that basically these people in the small, even smaller villages than this one here, they get obligated to go. They basically get threatened to go and block the roads. Or if they don't, they will lose their soil, they will lose their territory in which they are doing their farming. They will lose water access to their house. Basically like a modern day Pablo Escobar here in Bolivia. Cheers. Now, I'll sit down, wait for my boss, so we can head back to Sucre. And then we'll see where tomorrow takes us. See you there. It is the next day, and I'm sitting here in a square in Sucre. I've been spending most of my day wondering over the discoveries that we found out yesterday. To be honest, I'm quite shocked to hear what I found out yesterday. I expected that by going to this village, Aiquile, an indigenous village, I expected to find a lot of support for Evo Morales. But the reality that we found out yesterday, that basically no one, even in a village like Aiquile, where most people are indigenous, where Evo Morales used to hold a strong support, even in this village, people are tired of him. To find out that it's not actually locals who are demonstrating or who are blocking the roads, that it is exactly what I had feared the most, total guerrilla tactics from Evo Morales sending his people from his cocaine area called Chapare to block critical infrastructure points around the country in an effort to try and basically keep Bolivia in a hostage situation, basically try and starve people in the cities and force the government, the current president, to basically let him get back into power and become a dictator of Bolivia. That fact really hit me hard. I really didn't expect that it was so bad, that those were the tactics being played. This led me to think that I will go ahead and explore if I can see some of those consequences here in the city of Sucre, which is basically one of the many victims of all these roadblocks around the country. My idea is to go and head to a supermarket here in the city to see how dire the situation is, how much product or how little product is on offer in the supermarkets here. And we're gonna check out one of the petrol stations. So join me for a little explore here in Sucre today before we head towards Tarija tonight. So check this out, we're in the supermarket and here's the milk and yogurt aisle, half empty. That is the consequence of this blockade that we're having here, because all the milk, most of the produce here in Bolivia comes from the area of Cochabamba, which is blocked off by Evo Morales and his people. Look here as well in the butcher's department, almost nothing. Here we've got some sausages and hams and so on, but it's really scarce. Even the fruits and vegetables. Of course we've got the chips. We always have unhealthy stuff, so you can get addicted to sugar. Check it out here as well. Empty stalls here in the supermarket. Seems to be the norm. Even here we've got the ice cream and so on. We've got over here the frozen meat section, also almost empty. This one's completely empty. No hay mucho carne.
No hay mucho por los bloqueos.
Por los bloqueos. Y el carne viene desde Cochabamba.
Desde Santa Cruz.
Desde Santa Cruz. ¿Hace cuánto está así?
Ya desde el paro casi un mes.
Casi un mes. Uy.
No está llegando seguido.
Es difícil hacer negocio.
Sí, claro, obviamente.
Perjudica
Todo lo que pasa.
a todo.
Exacto. No solo a nosotros, sino a todas las familias, ¿no?
Ajá. ¿Y qué opinas de la situación?
Ojalá se arregle nomás. ¿Qué vamos a hacer? Así
¿Cómo?
que, ojalá se arregle nomás.
Sí.
Está como para irse a otro país, pero
Es mejor irse a otro país. ¿A dónde?
donde sea.
Donde sea.
Menos Argentina.
Menos Argentina. Ah, ok. Bueno, gracias. And you can see here, as he was saying, there's basically a month now, more than a month, almost a month and a half, where there's almost nothing of produce here in the city, here in the cities of Sucre. It's probably the same in Cochabamba, is the worst hit of all these cities, Santa Cruz, La Paz. As we get to Tarija tomorrow, as we get to Tarija tomorrow, you see here as well, even a whole empty beer fridge here. Barely anything, just a few aisles of it, of produce, another empty one here. That is basically the strategy of Evo Morales and his people, to starve the whole country, to keep the whole country hostage until he gets what he wants. Horrifying. Here we have another example of this. What I was mentioning yesterday, we have the black market coming up here for dollars. There's these guys, like someone here, in these money changing places that are now buying dollars. They really want to buy dollars. I even see them in small kiosks. You see all the way down here, these little kiosks here, all want to buy foreign currency because it's so scarce in the country nowadays. And here we have yet another one coming behind us. An example of some kind of protest. Probably something related to what the situation is here in the country at the moment. Let's see if we can stop them and see what they are, figure out what they're protesting for or against. Let's go and see if we can talk to any of them. Hola. ¿Se puede preguntar sobre qué están protestando?
Están peleando por más casos basureros.
¿Cómo?
Tenía que comprar el gobernador casos basureros como estos.
Más carros basureros.
Más basureros, son trabajadores de ellos.
Ok. No es algo sobre la situación de ahora, de la política del país.
No, eso es
ok. Pensé que era algo sobre esto.
¡Fuerza, compañeros!
So they're protesting for more rubbish bins, rubbish collection in the streets here of Sucre. Fuerza, compañeros. ¿Qué es esto?
¡Que la lucha es dura! ¡Bomba!
Bomba.
¡Fuerza, fuerza, fuerza!
So she's walking with some kind of firework
¡Fusil! ¡Metralla!
that she thinks she's shooting up in the air. Check it out here.
¡Metralla! ¡Fusil! ¡Metralla!
Here we go. She's
¡Fusil! ¡Metralla! ¡Fuerza, fuerza, fuerza!
There we go. Fuerza, compañeros. Get Evo out of this country before he becomes a dictator. Or just get more rubbish bins. Evo seems like a piece of rubbish anyways. Maybe they could take him to the rubbish station, to the recycling station, and recycle him for a better president. And get the dictators out of this beautiful country that is Bolivia. So it's not just supermarkets that are stripped for products. It's also the petrol stations. Petrol is becoming scarcer and scarcer here in Bolivia. If you look down here, you can't see much further down, but it is literally, trust me, lined up for a couple hundred meters that way. And up here in the corner is the petrol station. And this is a story that goes back to when Evo Morales was first elected into power, into the presidency here in Bolivia. When Evo Morales was elected in 2006, he immediately implemented good communist brother politics. He did this by nationalizing most businesses here in Bolivia, including the main company, YPFB, that runs most petrol stations and gas extractions here in Bolivia. With his nationalistic politics, he put in line regulation that scared away all foreign investment over the years of his reign, his 16-year reign here in Bolivia. And mix that with the fact that the company here, the YPFB, doesn't have, and Bolivia doesn't have, education that's skilled enough to run gas extraction in the country, to explore new gas fields within the country. This led to disaster, as you can imagine. Bolivia is now a net importer of petrol and of gas, even though they have massive reserves in the country itself. And as you can see, these people here are lining up for even carrying in canisters petrol.
Diésel no hay.
No hay diésel.
No hay diésel.
¿Petrol hay?
No hay tampoco.
No hay tampoco. Así que tanto tiempo es así.
Es un mes, más de 2 meses. ¿no?
Más de 2 meses. ¿Por los problemas políticos o es
Políticos.
otra cosa?
Político.
Politics. ¿Y cuántos tiempos te están esperando en fila?
2 noches.
2 noches.
2 días, una noche.
Oh my god, mucho. O sea, bastante escasez.
Escasez demasiado. No llega
Oh.
a otros surtidores, no llegan.
¿Usted es conductor
Sí,
de micro?
sí.
Ah.
Transporte público.
Los que transportan en la ciudad.
Aquí en la ciudad.
Ah, ya. ¿Y estás esperando todo el día acá?
Sí, todo.
Oh my god.
Un bidón.
Solo para un bidón de
5 litros. ¿no?
5 litros.
Nada.
Todo un día.
Solo.
Wow.
Entonces cobramos nosotros igual. Sube todo.
Bolivia importa el diésel,
Claro.
¿eh? Sí. Y no hay mucho dólar tampoco.
No hay mucho dólar. No hay mucho. El dólar ha desaparecido.
Suerte.
Bueno, gracias.
Gracias.
Chao, que te vaya bien.
Igual. So there you have it. This man is a minibus driver. One of the minibuses that transfers people, like this one here, that transfers people around in the city. This is his main job. Here in Bolivia, they own these minibuses themselves. It's not like a big company that pays them. You can see more lines going in of more normal cars, so I guess these are going for petrol. And yeah, imagine that. He's waiting 2 days. Almost 3 days, he said. Two nights and 1 full day. So basically 3 days to just get 5 liters of petrol. So you can drive around in the city and earn. Most bus rides here in Bolivia cost like, inside a city cost like 2 Bolivianos or 1.5 Bolivianos, which, what, 20 cents or something like that in dollars. In the macro, in the long term, this is all due to Evo Morales' foreign policies that scared away foreign investments during his reign, and mixed with the policies, or mixed with the lack of education and skills in Bolivia itself to know how to, and the know-how to extract gas. The country ran out of gas reserves, or is slowly running out of gas reserves, and haven't invested enough money into finding new gas reserves. And then you might say, but doesn't Bolivia also have shitloads of lithium? And you are correct. Bolivia does have, I think, the world's biggest or second biggest reserves of lithium. And the lithium reserve of South America is in that tri-corner between Argentina and Chile and Bolivia. Chile and Argentina are the 2 biggest exporters in the world of lithium. And Bolivia, they're nowhere to be found on the list. They sell less than 1% of all the lithium extracted in the world. Again, for the same reason, foreign policies scaring away foreign investors, and a lack of know-how within the country, a lack of investment from the government. This has led Bolivia to be completely dependent on Evo Morales' own drug trafficking, from which he is now scared to lose his business, which is why he's blocking the whole country, trying to get back into power so that he can earn his money through his coca ways and spread that money around to his poor supporters in the countryside that are easy to buy loyalty from. Now, we're at the bus station. I already bought my ticket yesterday when I came back from Aiquile, the city. We just dropped off down there. Let's go and head into the bus and get to Tarija. You couldn't have written that any better. I came here to the bus station, took my seat, or took my spot here waiting for the bus. I was supposed to go with one from that company that's right behind me here. But just like we talked about with those guys there as we were coming here to the bus station, the company haven't been able to load all of their buses with diesel. So I've been transferred to another company, thank God. At least I don't have to wait here, I don't have to get stuck here all night. But I've been transferred to another company due to the lack of diesel for the bus companies here. That is just another example of how scarce diesel is becoming. All right, a little hiccup, but let's get going onto the bus. Hopefully it shows up. We made it. We're in the bus. Slight hiccup there with the change of bus company, but at least we have a seat. We're ready. Check it out. We've got a little footrest down here, and we can load the seat well down. It's almost like a business class seat in a flight. So now we're ready to head off to Tarija. See you tomorrow when we get to La Churra Tarija, the capital of wine here in Bolivia. We finally found a room here in Tarija. It has been absolutely pissing it down all morning. Check out the room here. We've got a double bed, a single bed. We've got a view to the street. The sun is finally coming out, but as you can see, the road is all wet. And it seems like there's another protest going on down the street there. Here's the toilet, bathroom, a little shower. Looks alright. At least it's not one of those electrical showers. The room cost me 100 Bolivianos. What's that? That's got to be like $14 for the night. This is our last night on this trip here in Bolivia. So yeah, as I said, another view to the room, another view to the street here. Seems like there's another protest going on. Let's go and see what they are fighting for down there. Let's explore the city of Tarija. Let's go. So we've made it to the central square here. Check it out. The protest is going on, but it seems very peaceful. Let's try and figure out what they're protesting for or against. They got those fireworks here as well going on. These seems to be a staple of any Bolivian protest. In fact, I can tell you that they are, because with my experience living in La Paz, I heard these almost daily when I was living back there. Tarija in the south of Bolivia is one of the unique destinations here in Bolivia, one of the unique regions here in Bolivia that hasn't been blocked off over the past 3 weeks, to a month. This is one of the regions in which it's usually way more peaceful than the rest of the country. It's one of the regions in which Evo Morales has never had much support. So I'm excited or intrigued to figure out what exactly they're protesting for here. Let's go and see who we can talk to. ¿Cómo estás?
No, castellano, no entiendo nada de inglés, pero...
Nada de inglés. No inglés.
Español.
Spanish. ¿Sobre qué es la protesta?
La protesta es por nosotros somos del sector salud y tenemos un director que prácticamente es un dictador.
Un dictador.
Que no hace caso y maltrata a los trabajadores de salud.
Ok.
¿Ya?
No es Evo Morales.
No es Evo Morales, es este director.
Él igual quiere ser dictador.
Claro, estamos en contra del gobernador.
En contra del gobernador,
Sí, el
del
gobernador
municipio de acá.
Sí.
Entonces no es sobre el tema de lo político del país ahorita.
Ahorita no, nada. Solamente esto es departamental.
Ok.
De Tarija.
Ok.
¿Ya?
Porque aquí no ha habido nada de bloqueos, ¿no? En el resto del país hay mucho bloqueo.
Hay mucho bloqueo, sí, pero aquí no. Aquí es más tranquilo y tampoco hay gente tan radical de Evo Morales.
No hay mucho apoyo para Evo Morales.
No hay. Tarija aquí siempre ha perdido el MAS.
Siempre ha perdido.
Siempre ha perdido el MAS.
Aquí-
En todas las elecciones ha perdido el MAS aquí.
No les gusta el comunismo acá.
No. Fuera comunismo, fuera socialismo. No.
Ni gente acá.
Acá diferente.
Sí.
Otra clase de gente. Más pensante.
Más pensante, más inteligente.
Sí.
As you can hear, they love a good protest here in Bolivia, and not necessarily against Evo Morales, though, as you had explained there from that guy. Here in Tarija, which I was mentioning just before, is a region where the movement towards socialism, or should we say communism, Evo Morales' party has never had a stronghold. This is the only one of 2 or 3 regions in Bolivia where he has never successfully taken control of the country, taken control of the political situation, of the institutions. And yeah, these are my people here. They don't like communism. Te puedo preguntar, ¿qué opinas de la situación que está pasando en el país ahorita?
Bueno, mira, yo te cuento. Esto es causa de gente irresponsable.
Ajá.
Gente irresponsable. Es decir, estaban mirando el partido de afuera y dicen, no saben jugar, no déjame. Ya. Entran a jugar, le dan todo para que juegue todo.
Ajá.
Y tiene que patear el penal y no patea bien el penal. O sea,
Ajá.
nos hace perder y estamos perdiendo por goleada. Entonces, esos que se dicen que eran buenos, se ponen a aterrizar el avión. No saben aterrizar el avión, ellos son cocineros, ellos son del campo, ¿no?
Ajá.
Están puestos a aterrizar el avión.
No saben.
Nos van a matar, o sea, vamos a llegar a Venezuela. no pueden manejar el dólar, no pueden los hidrocarburos, se lo chuparon todo el gas, se lo chuparon todos los hidrocarburos, se lo gastaron, fiesta, joda,
Ajá.
¿no? Y ahora quieren seguir, ahora meterse en las reservas para sacar más y seguir con la fiesta y la joda.
Ajá.
Nosotros tenemos que sacar a la gente responsable, poner a la gente que sabe.
Ajá.
¿Quién sabe? El piloto pues va a aterrizar bien el avión, va a haber regalías, va a haber entradas, se va a hacer industria, se va a hacer muchas, pero estos se dedicaron a la fiesta.
Ajá.
Y quieren seguir con la fiesta. Eso le pasó a Venezuela, porque es el país con más petróleo del mundo, el más pobre, su pobre gente. Como están los tontos arriba, dicen, ¿qué hacemos? No, eso nunca van a salir. Hagamos el bolso, emigrar. Y eso no queremos en Bolivia.
But yeah, there you have it. A few of the different viewpoints of what's going on here in the city. Now, I literally just, as I said, dropped my bag back at the hotel. Just heard this protest was going on, so I said, let's go ahead and see what they're protesting for or against. And as you can hear, this is far from a stronghold of communism. This is my kind of people in this part of the country. Fuerza Tarija, let's go and explore the rest of Tarija now throughout this day. So before all the Bolivians in the comments go completely berserk, of course I know that these places here are where most Bolivians come day to day. They don't actually go to the supermarket. They come to the markets to buy fruits and vegetables. We can see the ladies are closing down shop now, but you have these little stands here where they're all selling fruits and veggies, as well as ready-made food in here. But that was only in the morning. But it's been raining all day. It's finally stopped raining here in the afternoon, and I've come out in search for the golden leaf, or should I say the green leaf here, or the white leaf here from Bolivia. A box, a bag of coca leaves. ¿Viene mucha fruta ahora? ¿O
Verdura.
verdura? Fruta no. Aquí. Pero me refiero a que he escuchado que hay como difícil que llegan las frutas
Eso arriba en el campesino.
en el mercado campesino.
Exacto, ahí llega todo.
Por los bloqueos del país me han dicho que no hay mucha fruta tampoco en el país.
Hay, pero
Hay, pero menos.
menos
Ah,
que antes. Antes había más por lo que no había bloqueo.
sí,
Pero por el bloqueo es que no hay.
porque todo viene de Cocha.
Sí, de Cochabamba, de Santa Cruz, de todos lugares.
Ah, ya. Entonces solo acá un poquito ahora.
Sí, al menos ha bajado.
So as you can hear the lady there saying what I've been told by all the people here in Bolivia as well. The fact that it's difficult for fruit to get around in the country. Fruit and veggies. There is some getting here because that's the lucky thing about Bolivia when we have these types of situations. At least the country is a massive fertile soil that produces literally everything. I think I see over here exactly what we're hunting for. Hola. ¿Vende coca? ¿A cuánto sale una bolsa? ¿Cómo?
¿Cuánto quiere?
Una bolsa normal.
Por libra, media libra, 4 onzas.
Esa bolsa de ese tamaño que la gente chupa normalmente o come, mastica.
5 bolivianos.
5 bolivianos. Una bolsa, ¿se puede? ¿Y qué es lo mismo los tres?
Es la menudita y esta es la mediana.
Menudita, como el tamaño.
Sí,
Ah, ok, so acá tenemos.
es la mediana.
These are the leaves here. ¿O de dónde viene la coca?
Yungas.
Yungas, La Paz, no de Chapare.
No,
La coca de Chapare no viene acá.
No es para la vez.
Ah, ok, acá tienes.
gracias.
5, ¿no? Gracias. Let's go ahead and see if we can find a little park or something a bit further down the road. Then we'll talk about what the situation is here with the coca. So here's a good example of why I found it quite difficult to find anything really to do as well here in the afternoon after it stopped raining. Anything interesting to do. The streets here in Tarija are pretty dead all day, almost all afternoon. Tarija is much more like, since we're so close to Argentina, it's much more like an Argentinian town with siesta, wine and beef. All right, so check it out. We found a little nice park here next to one of the main churches that's over there here in the city. Now let's break it open. The beautiful bag of coca leaves that we have here. So we got this full bag here for only 5 Bolivianos. That's less than $1. That's about 80 cents, at least on the official rate. In a black market rate, I guess it's down to 50 cents or so nowadays. So yeah, if you gotta do it right, you gotta take one leaf at a time and try to just bite off the little stalk there at the end. And slowly just fill your mouth. But really, if you're asking me, sorry to all the Bolivians, I think it's pretty much the same if you just take a bunch and you stuff your mouth. The coca leaf is obviously the main story of why Bolivia is in this trouble at the moment. Why Evo Morales doesn't want to accept his destiny, doesn't want to accept that he cannot run for president, that no one wants him, that the constitution here in the country says he cannot run anymore because he's already been president for 3 times. And the constitution says you can only be president for 2 terms. Well, how did he manage that then? Well, when he was first elected, the country was called the Republic of Bolivia, or República de Bolivia. And during his first term, he changed the name and the constitution to the name of Estado Plurinacional de Bolivia, which means like the plurinational state or the multinational state of Bolivia, giving more recognition to the indigenous culture of the country. And then he won his 2nd term, and then when he came to the 3rd term, he wanted to run again. And the opposition here in Bolivia said, no, you can't do that. But he was able to defend why he was able to do so by saying that, hold on, we changed the constitution and the country's name. So technically, in my 1st term, I was president in the old country of the Republic of Bolivia. And I've been president now 1 term in the new country of the plurinational state of Bolivia. So I should be able to have 2 consecutive terms as president of the plurinational state of Bolivia, which he did. And then, in 2019, when it was time for elections once again, Evo Morales didn't want to accept that he needed to pass on the torch to someone else. He ran again, but this time there was election fraud in the picture. I was here in the country, running my restaurant at that time. But basically, the election went down something like this. There was Evo Morales against a guy called Carlos Mesa. And during the night, when they were counting the results, it was neck and neck, 50-50, very even. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, the election results stopped coming in, and people got very skeptical. And over that night, demonstrations erupted, because people already knew what Evo Morales was up to. And sure enough, the next morning, when the results came back online again, magically, Evo Morales was winning the election. This led to massive demonstrations in all of Bolivia, tear gas thrown everywhere, including on me, and into the restaurant that I was owning, that I used to own at that time. Evo Morales eventually fled the country to his communist brothers. To his communist brothers up first in Mexico and then in Cuba. In the aftermath of Evo Morales fleeing the country back then, there was an interim government put in charge that was supposed to run the next elections. This interim government was from the opposition, so you might say, didn't they achieve exactly what they wanted? No, they didn't. They started becoming very, very heavy-handed on some of the indigenous people here in Bolivia. Lots of heavy-handed military arresting opposition party members, throwing them in jail. And subsequently, once the elections were finally held, Evo Morales' party won again. This is how a man called Luis Arce is now the president here in Bolivia. And when Luis Arce, the current president and the party member of Evo Morales' party, the movement towards socialism, won the elections in 2021, then Evo Morales saw his opportunity and came back to Bolivia. He was obviously expecting to manage this Luis Arce as his little puppet. But Luis Arce had other ideas. He now wants to be the president here in the country. He is not much different than Evo Morales, just that he's not a narco trafficker as well. But he does like the power. And as Evo Morales figured out he couldn't manage Luis Arce as his little puppet, problems and discussions, and eventually roadblocks blocking the whole country erupted within the party of the movement towards socialism. And this is the situation in which we found ourselves today here in Bolivia. A country that is being kept hostage by its former president, who wants to become a dictator to secure his business as a narco-trafficker, mixed with his former body, his former finance minister, Luis Arce, who wants to stay in power and keep managing the country as a communist state. The only issue with this for Luis Arce is, as we've seen now many a times over this video in very different cities, nobody seems to enjoy what he's doing. Nobody seems to be supporting him anymore. Not the party, not any of the two candidates. It's a classic story of a communist government that has been hostile to foreign capital and foreign investment, leading the country into near bankruptcy. There's now no longer enough dollars in the central bank's bank account to be able to purchase diesel and petrol from the outside, which Bolivia is importing. There's not been invested any money into producing more gas. Gas used to be the main way for Bolivia to get dollars into the country, exporting their gas to Argentina and to Brazil predominantly, the neighboring countries here in the region. But nowadays, as I said, Bolivia is running out of gas, it's running out of dollars. It can't buy petrol, it can't buy diesel. And inflation is starting to rise. We have a black market for dollars rising or growing here in the country. It's not looking pretty for Bolivia. I pray with my heart that Bolivia won't be the next Venezuela. And with that said, I think this is going to be the end of this video, the end of this journey through what I would say is South America's most troubled nation over the past 5 years or so. With that said, here's a picture of a former fighter of Bolivia, and hopefully someone like this guy can come up again and fight for Bolivia's freedom and bring this great nation back on track. Viva Bolivia!